everybody, today I'm here to talk about the 18 non-YA books that I want to read in 2018. One of my goals, probably the biggest goal in my opinion that I'm really striving for this year, is to read more adult books because I just want to. I love YA and this will primarily probably be a YA channel, but I just want to read more adult books, more adult content, whether it be literary fiction or thrillers or mysteries or other genres within that, but I just want to kind of expand my horizons a little bit. At first I was going to make my most anticipated books that were not YA books, and then I had a hard time coming up with that, so I thought, hey, let's talk about the top 18 adult books that I want to read. And these are 18 books that are going to be a mixture of books I already own and books that are coming out this year. So it's a little bit of a most anticipated adult books and books I just want to read that are adult, that are already out and that I own and things like that. If that makes sense. Hopefully it makes sense. So without further ado, let's get into the top 18 non-YA adult books, whatever you want to call it, books that I want to read this year. The first book that I would love to read, I've been talking about a ton on this channel recently, and that is Eleanor, Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I'm planning to read this next month, as a matter of fact, because I just want to so bad. This just seems like a perfect book for me. It's about this woman that is kind of a recluse. She works and she just comes home. She doesn't really talk to anybody. She calls her mom, and then she befriends the IT guy where she works at, and they together like save this older gentleman from dying, I think. And it's just her coming out of her shell. She's really kept to herself because a lot of things happen in her past, and you're learning more about that. It's kind of one of those quiet stories that I tend to love. I love fast-paced novels, but I also love those quiet developmental growth stories that you're learning about yourself and how your life's gonna be. This one just sounds amazing, and I've heard really good things about it, so I'm hoping to love it. Definitely my top priority for adult books in this year. The next book that I want to get to this year is Still Me by Jojo Moyes. This book does not come out until January 30th, so luckily the publisher sent me a finished copy early, so I am anticipating this novel. I know Me Before You because that's the first book in this series trilogy. I don't ever know. It has got a lot of controversy. They really love that book or you don't. I ultimately enjoyed it. I could see why a lot of people didn't, but I liked the first one, Me Before You. When the second one came out, After You, I did not enjoy that at all. I don't know if this one needs necessarily to be written, if the story needs to progress any further, but I'm still very, very interested in it because I do love our main character, Louisa Clark. I believe in this one she's going to New York, obviously because we have the Empire State Building right there, but I'm interested in this one. I'm definitely planning to read it. That is for 100% for sure. So I am putting it on this list because I am anticipating it. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it, but I'm going to read it and then we'll see. Another upcoming release that I'm very, very excited to read is The Wedding Date by Jasmine Gulrali. Hopefully I pronounced that right. This one also comes out on January 30th and I'm reading it next month because it just seems like the perfect Valentine's Day lovey-dovey read. You know, it's about Drew, who is going to his ex's wedding, which is already awkward enough, and he's going alone to make the awkwardness, you know, go up even more. So I think he meets this girl Alexa on the elevator, and she decides to tag along with him to be his date so he won't be alone, and it's kind of all about that. I love that trope of, like, you know, let's pretend to be each other's boyfriend, girlfriend, or date, and they'll fall in love probably. I don't know. It sounds adorable. I'm a sucker for chicklet. I love it, so super excited for this one. The next one I want to talk about has already been released, but it came out this year, so I guess you could still say it's like a upcoming. I don't know. That is The Woman in the Window by A.G. Finn. This is a new thriller novel that I cannot wait to read. I have been really into thrillers lately. I just recently read The Wife Between Us, and I loved that book. I did not expect to like it as much as I did, so that really got me on a thriller kick once more. This one is a newly released one, and I've heard so many amazing things about it. This is about a woman that is a recluse. She spies on her neighbors through the windows, if you can clearly tell by the cover, and basically she has new neighbors, and one night she sees something that she shouldn't see, and you know, stuff goes down. Thrillers, you just have to go into not knowing too much about it. I am super excited to read this one. I don't know when I'm gonna read it. I want to read it soon, but I just want all of these thrillers now, like, yes. Then the next couple books I want to talk about are both by the same author, and I want to check out particularly these two novels by this author, and that is, the first one is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This, it's a hunker. I'm probably gonna attempt to read it this next month. I don't know how it's gonna go, but anyone has raved about this book. Like, everyone has said that this is their ultimate favorite book of all time, or their favorite book of the entire year. It's just huge. A lot of people love this book. All I know about it is about two sisters that are living during the World War II time, and they both live very separate lives, and they both have different journeys going on. It's apparently heart-wrenching, heartbreaking, makes you feel all the feels. I've also heard that it reads super fast because, good Lord almighty, this is huge. I just really want to read it. I don't know. This is going to be an accomplishment for myself honestly, if I finish this, because I don't read a ton of really big books, and when I do finish them, like big books, I feel happy. I'm like, oh, I did that. So I want to read this book for that, and because I've just heard so many things about it, and to see if I'll like it just as much. So yeah, I'm gonna read it this year. This is gonna happen. I'm excited, nervous all at the same time. The other book by Kristen Hanna that I definitely want to check out is The Great Alone, which comes out February 6th, I believe, so next month. This is all I know about this book. It takes place, I think, in the 70s, and it's about this couple that moves to Alaska with their child, and they try to just start over, and they develop this you know, relationship with their community and things like that. I don't know much about it. I kind of want to go into it not knowing a ton. Same with this one. Like, I just know the general synopsis of it, but not like too deep, because I just want to enjoy the ride. I've heard, I mean, this author has written so many books. Like, there's a lot. And this is the one I heard about the most. And then also a lot of people were talking about The Great Alone. And that plot just sounds intriguing to me. Like the 70s and Alaska just all sounds interesting. So I really want to check that one out. So hopefully I will love this one, and I want to dive right on into The Great Alone. Let's hope so. Another thriller that I cannot wait to get to is Bonfire by Krysten Ritter. Krysten Ritter is actually an actress. She was in Jessica Jones. That's primarily probably what she's known for. She's been in a lot of smaller roles that I've loved her in, but Jessica Jones is where I think a lot of people know her from. This is her first, you know, work of fiction. She wrote a thriller novel, and I don't know like anything about it. I know it's about a lawyer that like left her home to be a lawyer, and now she's getting called back for a case. That's all I know. It's short, so I'm excited about that. And I also have this on audiobook for reviews, so I'm thinking about listening to it, which will be interesting because I have listened to a few thrillers, and I really like listening to them because it really builds the anticipation and the mystery to it. So I'm definitely going to read this year. I'm definitely going to read this year. The question is when. That's always the question, isn't it? The next book has already come out, but I don't own it, and I'm going to own it soon. I'm going to get a copy of my own, and that is The Immortal List by Chloe Benjamin. This got released this month, as a matter of fact, and this one just sounds interesting. Often sound interesting, honestly. This is about this woman that's a traveling psychic, and basically she can tell you the day that you're gonna die. And it's about this family. I believe it's the Gold family. Forgive me if I don't have all the information for all these books. I'm just, you know, going by what I remember. And they decide to go to this psychic to figure out when they're gonna die, and they do. And it pretty much follows their lifespan from there, of how each of these siblings have very different lives. They go in different courses, and ultimately I think this book is about, you know, if you could figure out when you died, would that really hinder you from living your life? Or, you know, that's the whole premise, I think, behind this book. Very interested in reading this one. It's definitely a literary fiction. I have read a few books where it follows, you know, our characters from like the time they were young to the time they're older, and I've liked them, but I haven't loved them. But I want to give books like that a shot again, so I want to check this one out because I've also heard really good things about it. The next book does not come out till February 13th, and I'm so excited for that, and that is Surprise Me by Sophie Kinsella. Sophie Kinsella is a British chick lit author that I'm obsessed with. My favorite chick lit author. I just love her books. This is all about a couple that has been married for 10 years, and I think they go to the doctor, and the doctor's determined like you're gonna live for like 70 more years. They're like, oh crap, we're gonna be married for a long time. What do we do? So they decide to like spice up their marriage and leave each other surprises and things like that. I'm excited for this because number one, I love Sophie Kinsella. She writes funny and witty and just romantic reads that I can't get enough of, and this could not be more relevant to my life. This year, in fact, my husband and I are celebrating our 10-year anniversary, so it's gonna be interesting. Maybe I'll pick up some surprises and like, you know, way to spice up our marriage and things like that. So I'm super excited to read this one. I'll probably also listen to this one on audio because I always recommend listening to Sophie Kinsella's books on audio. They're just amazing. Trust me on that. Another new release that I'm very excited for is called An American Marriage. Eyre Jones, hopefully I pronounced that right. This one does not come out until February 6th. This sounds like a very gripping, insanely, you know, intense novel. This newlywed couple that just got married, they're living in, you know, their wedded bliss, and then the husband gets arrested for a crime that he did not commit, and he gets put in jail for like 10 years or maybe more, I forget. And it follows their lives. It follows their life of like before they got married, and then, you know, while her husband's in jail, and then he also gets released early from jail. So it really, you know, discovers the marriage and how it's changed. I believe the wife is also finding solitude in her husband's best friend, which I don't know if it's gonna be a good thing or not, but it just sounds very gripping. Like it's gonna be intense because the husband was in jail for something he didn't do. The marriage is kind of falling apart when it just started. It just sounds insanely intense, and just I'm excited to read it. Then I have Roomies by Christina Lauren. This is another type of chick lit a book, I would say. I have read one other book by this author and I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's just kind of a chick lit, kind of fluffy book. This is all about a girl, I think, that's really, like, I wouldn't say obsessed, but she's very entranced by this subway musician. He plays music, and then I think he saves her from, like, I think the subway car hitting her, and to repay him back, it's more about him. She learns that his green card is expiring, and so she decides, let's get married so you can stay in the country, and they do, hence the title Roomies. And then I think he actually becomes famous after that. Like, he becomes a Broadway star, and things are complicated because, like, she likes him, but they're also married and they're also roomies. I don't know, so it's really interesting, really cute and adorable. Definitely gonna be perfect for like a Valentine's read. The next book I'm very, very excited for comes out on March 6th, and that is Rainbird by Clarissa Gonan. Hopefully I pronounced that right. This is another, look at the stunning cover. This is another really sounding intense one. Basically, this follows a guy that lives in Japan, I believe, and he learns one day that his sister has been brutally murdered. So he travels to where his sister was living, also in Japan, but I think in a very small town of Japan, and he really can't fathom why she moved there. And he's kind of, you know, putting her stuff up and trying to tie all the loose ends in her life. Then he like starts to teach where his sister was teaching at, and he becomes immersed with the community that his sister was living in this really small town. And he learns, like, you know, wow, she really did like it here, and he's discovering why, and he's also trying to figure out what happened to her, like who murdered her, if it was a murder, if it was an accident. He's just trying to piece together the, you know, he's just trying to piece together her deaths. Excited for reading about it because it's set in Japan. I really haven't read a ton of books in Japan before, so I'm super excited for that, to be a little bit diversified as well. So yeah, very, very excited for this one. Another mystery thriller that I can't wait to read is The Last Miss Parish by Liv Constantine. I picked this one up because it was in like the Reese Witherspoon book club and it sounds interesting. Basically, she described it as like a twist on Single White Female, which I have yet to see that movie, but I think it's about a girl named Amber who's fed up with being a nobody, and she meets this couple, the Parishes, and she learns that the wife, Daphne Parish, is like everything she ever wanted. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be like her trying to weasel her way into the Parish's life, and her trying to probably ultimately kill Daphne and take her life and, you know, be the last Miss Parish ever. I don't know. Sounds interesting. Like I said, I've been loving mysteries lately, so cannot wait to check this one out. Then I have, the next one has been sitting on my shelf for a really long time, that this year has got to be the year I get to it, and that is Jane Steele by Lindsay Faye. A lot of people said this was their favorite book of like last year, I think. Well, I guess 2016, technically, not 2017. A reimagining of Jane Eyre, only if Jane Eyre was kind of like a murderer. I don't know, I've heard really good things about it and excited to read it. I don't know, I think I'm wary about it. Like, I feel like I'm not gonna like it as much as everyone else does. Excited to read it. I'm definitely gonna make this year the year I attempt to read it. Hopefully I will love it. It has to be done this year. Speaking of books that have been on my shelf forever, is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Frederick Bachman. I really enjoy Frederick Bachman's books. I really loved A Man Called Uva. I also really enjoyed Britt Marie Is Here, and I really want to read all of his books because I just like the way he writes. This book is honestly, I probably should have read it before I read Britt Marie Is Here because it's kind of like a sequel companion. I don't know, the character from Britt Marie was in this book. This is all about a girl that is, her name's Elsa, and she's 7, and her grandmother just died, and her grandmother, I think, entrusts her with like a whole slew of letters for her to give out to people that maybe she's wronged, or just things that she wants to say. My grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry. So I think what's holding me back from this one is somewhere where there's a dog on the cover. That's a heart-wrencher for me for sure. Like, is the dog gonna be okay? And it's just gonna be a heart-wrenching book. It sounds like it's gonna be very, very emotional, which is a good thing ultimately, but I need to read it this year. And the last 3 books I don't own. 2 of them are new releases and 1 has already been out for a while. The first new release that I want to talk about is called Lost Girls of Camp Evermore, Kim Fu, which comes out on February 13th. This one just sounds amazing. All I know about this book, it's about these girls that go to this camp called Forevermore, and they kayak, and I think they get stuck on an island, and they're trying to have to figure out their way out of it. But I don't think it's about a survival story by any means. I think it's more about learning their friendship, learning who they are, and just bonding, and I'm all about books like that. Like, ugh, I'm so excited to read this. And the cover, I'm excited to check this one out. This one sounds like a great literary fiction book. Then the one that's already out, it's been out for a while, that I just really want to own and like read, is called 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. A lot of people have raved about this book. They said it's like their favorite book. I'm just excited to read it. Taylor Jenkins Reid has written a lot of books before. I've never read one of them, but I want to read this one. This follows the story of Evelyn Hugo, who is a actress actress, or she used to be an actress. She's now retired. I think she's either 70 or 80, and she's never had any interviews happen. She's never, like, people have wanted to write books about her and interview her. She's never said yes to any of them because she's very much personal with her things. So instead, she decides to reach out to this one particular journalist to come over for an interview, and there you learn about her, in particular her 7 husbands that she had, and more about her. I've just heard amazing things about this book. Excited to check it out. And the last book is the one that's really out, does not come out till later on, and that is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager, which comes out on July 10th. This is another thriller book. I read Final Girls last year and I was just really excited about it. I just really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, so I cannot wait to read about this one. I honestly don't know anything about this book at all, but I'm excited to read it because I enjoyed Final Girls so much. So there you have it. Those are the top 18 books that are non-YA adult books that I really want to read in 2018. So I'm hoping honestly to have all of these read. Like every single book I mentioned I want to have read by the time 2018 is over, and I really think I can do it. I'm thinking I've already read a few books this year already that are adult books, so I'm just feeling a really good streak going on. I'm just really enjoying, you know, my kind of shift in reading taste, and I'm excited to see how it's going to expand even more with these books that I'm talking about today. So yeah, if you have any upcoming, you know, non-YA books that you're really excited about, please let me know, because I got lost in the trenches with trying to do research. I was like, oh my gosh, so many. And if you have any books that you have already read and stuff like that, that are, you know, adult books that you think I would enjoy, please also leave comments. I would really love any recommendations that you guys could give me. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.